What's your reaction to? It wasn't just the 10-year-old. That was one. We also saw a shooting at Brownstone. Um, two really big events happening overnight. Like, what's kind of your reaction to that?
Look, again, there's too much violence in Milwaukee.
Wait, wait, I'm sorry. Sorry. That's my fault. My fault. My fault. Start over again.
So my reaction is that there's just too much violence in Milwaukee, and you know, as it relates to Brownstone, look, when too many people have guns in this city who should not have them. I've said that multiple times. I stand by what I said. Um, and it's not just that. This is a conflict, right? There's a disagreement. And so, as adults, right, those who should be setting the example, we got to do better. And we got to send a better message. If you have a disagreement with somebody, what happened to just talking with them? And what happened to just arguing with them? How does it escalate to taking out a gun and randomly, shooting at an establishment, striking people and killing people? Like, that's just not right. And that's why I keep saying that we need partnerships with the state, so that we can stop having individuals who obviously should not have access to these guns because they're using them for stuff like that. We need to work to make sure that they don't get them in the first place, because when they do get them, then we see deadly consequences on our street.
So while we're working on kind of the state partnerships to kind of resolve this, there are a lot of people that are looking for answers now. We're a couple days away from an election. One, I'll ask you, what have you already done since becoming acting mayor to specifically address crime and violence in Milwaukee?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a great question. I just signed just the other day monies that we're bringing in from the state of Wisconsin so that we can expand on some of the work that our Office of Violence Prevention does proactively before violence occurs in some of our most hard-hit neighborhoods. So I've been a champion on that, and I've committed to doing more when the next tranche of ARPA funds get in here. That was a commitment that I made as council president. I'm going to see through it as mayor as well. I've been on the phone just this morning with the chief of police. I've been on the phone with the district attorney. I've been on the phone with the chief judge here in Milwaukee County as well. So we're making plans as it stands right now. Before I even took office, I said I was not going to wait, that I was going to be active and working to try to solve the issues important to Milwaukee, and I've been doing that. As I keep saying that partnerships are the way, that we have to build a new relationship with Madison. I've been in the Capitol speaking with Speaker Voss, with other legislators, about getting more revenues back to Milwaukee to solve the issues that we're talking about right now. So I'm working at it, and we'll continue to work at it because Milwaukee needs it. There again are too many guns and too many people who resolve conflicts with guns as opposed to words, and that's unsustainable, and we should not accept that. I don't accept it as mayor, and the citizens of this city shouldn't accept it either.
We talk about getting more revenue to address it. What are three of your top priorities when it comes to addressing crime and violence that are going to be the first things that you focus on? I mean, this week you're mayor already.
Yeah, no. I mean, so we're here right now talking about some of the improvements that we're making on the roadways here in the city of Milwaukee. We're on the south side now. There are other improvements that'll be coming online, additionally on the south side, but also on the north side, northwest side, all over the city, tackling the issue of reckless driving, which is also a public safety concern. We've been having conversations about trying to find additional ways to make sure that police have the resources that they need in order to make sure that when individuals who are harming our communities are held to account, right? That when they're out doing traffic enforcement, that they have the resources to have officers on the street doing that. And then additionally, as I said, working with our partners in the legislature in order to make sure that individuals don't have access to guns when they shouldn't have them. Those folks who are likely to cause harm, death, and destruction to our neighborhoods who should not have guns, we need to work with the state in order to solve it. We don't have that control at the local level, but I want to work to make sure with the powers that be at the state that doesn't happen in Milwaukee. we're seeing deadly consequences too many nights. One life loss is too much. And I want to work with our partners at the state to make sure that that's not happening on any night in Milwaukee.
So when you say, you know, you don't have the control on the local level, what do you have control over on the local level? You know, I think people at home that are afraid for their kids and their families want to know that.
Yeah, no.
What do we have control over now?
Absolutely. We have control over police, and that's why I said we put additional money into the street improvements here. We put additional money into working to make sure our traffic safety unit has the resources to go after reckless drivers. We'll continue to make improvements like we see here across the city to curb incidents of reckless driving. And we also have the power of the bully pulpit. That's what I say. I'm going to be working day in and day out with our partners in the legislature so that in the places where we don't have control at the local level, we make our pitch, we tell the story, we show them what the impacts are so that we don't have deadly incidents like we had last night happening day in and day out in this city.
One of my last questions I'll ask you, I know you were on the Common Council, so you kind of have that background of city leadership. You know, what's the difference between what you're doing to address violence in our community and what Mayor Barrett was doing? What people want to know what's different about you.
Yeah.
What's going to be different moving forward?
Well, you know, I'll say this, that unfortunately, the relationship between the city and the state has been sour really for the past over a decade when the former mayor was in office. I think one of the benefits of having me there is that I'm new, and I'm somebody that the leadership in the legislature especially is eager to work with. I have a great relationship with the governor of the state, Tony Evers, and I'm developing a great relationship with the Republican leadership in the legislature as well. We're not going to be able to get the big things done. We're not going to be able to get the resources that we need unless there is that partnership with both. I have both. I'm working on both. And I think that was a hang-up for Tom Barrett. It's not a hang-up for me, and I'm going to get it done.
Last question. You know, violence in particular, I'm not from Milwaukee, but I am from Chicago, and there are a lot of similarities in terms of that. As a person of color, violence is something that often impacts our communities. So what have you done and what are you doing to connect with communities of color, the Black community specifically, to you know, have community partnerships with them to solve some of these issues, to reduce the crime?
Yeah, you know, I appreciate your experience in Chicago. My father's from Chicago. I've got family in Chicago as well, and I know, you know, some of the instances there, and that there are certain similarities between our city, Milwaukee, and the city of Chicago. Look, I think one of the benefits of me as mayor is that I'm a young Black millennial. I grew up in the most depressed neighborhoods in Milwaukee. I know what it's like to live in 53206. I know the challenges of housing insecurity and food insecurity and violence. I've seen them. I've experienced them. And so I'm in a position where I can stand up and say things that, you know, perhaps the former mayor could not say. And so I think that my message can and will be more penetrating to the neighborhoods that need to hear it, where violence occurs. As I said, just the other day, I signed as mayor the legislation that will allow for the city of Milwaukee to take in over $8 million in state ARPA funds to address violence and violence prevention. I did that across the street from a home where 6 people were murdered. And I did that across the street at a home where I lived when I was a child. So my experiences in this city help me to lend a voice to be able to reach out, and I think, again, to be more penetrating to the neighborhoods and the people that really need to hear it.
Anything else, Mayor, you want to add? I got everything I need. Anything else you want people to know?
No, I think that's good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all.